Up next on this stage, AI in action. Do more with Lens Studio. Please welcome Jonathan Solichin, Olha Rykhliuk, and Luke Cartwright.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm super thrilled to be here today with my brilliant colleagues, Jonathan Solichin and Luke Cartwright. We all come from totally different background, totally different countries, but we've all been working on the same exciting thing, and this is why we're here today. So let me ask you a quick question. Have you been using tools like Claude, Copilot, Cursor with your daily work? Probably yes. It probably made this hackathon so much smoother for you and for us. But would you ever wish that AI could do even more to improve your Lens Studio development flow? I ask because we've been thinking about that a lot, and today we want to share our vision about AI can transform your Lens Studio experience. So AI is everywhere. It's going to shape the future of spatial computing. And just like Lens Studio itself, we believe that working together and building together brings the most value. That's why we want you to have an expert on your side, and we want you to be able to tailor and extend that expert. And we also wanted to make it available from within Lens Studio, from outside Lens Studio, and follow common industry standards. In our research, how AI can best help you make lenses, we realized there could be multiple approaches to that. Sometimes you would just want to share the vibe, you don't care about what you're going to get, and you trust all the decisions and scenario and asset choice to the AI, like for example with EasyLens or Lens Studio Mobile and Web. Or sometimes you do exactly know what you want, and you want someone to just streamline your experience, maybe do some boring and routine tasks for you. And you want to have a long and deep iterative process with Lens Studio. So to help frame this, we were thinking about AI capabilities on the spectrum from freedom to reliability. On one end, we have the thing we call chat tools that represent singular actions or things you could do in Lens Studio. For example, create scene objects, create component, inspect scene hierarchy, browse asset library, and things like that. This gives AI incredible freedom, but of course the outcome is indefinite. It could bring you anywhere. On the other side, we have AI-enabled custom components or blocks. They prioritize reliability and ease of use. You may already seen what they can do in EasyLens. So in this case, we just define the scenario, define the component, and we trust the AI to just create those numerous variants and numerous experience out of that. And of course, this go hand in hand in Lens Studio. You can build custom components with tools, and you can start with ready-to-go custom components and improve your experience using chat tools. So we've divided today's presentation in two parts to make it easier to digest, because those are like totally different things. So Luke will give us deep dive about chat tools, how to start using them, and how to extend them. And Jonathan will tell us about AI-enabled custom components and how to make your own. And by the time we wrap up, I hope you'll be able to make something cool even quicker and use AI Assistant as your everyday reliable friend. And so let's deep dive and see what's possible when you have an expert on your side. Welcome, Luke.
Thanks, Olga. I'm Luke, an engineer on the Spectacles team, and I've been building augmented reality experiences for a long time now. It's so fun to create them, but I never have enough time to work on all of my ideas. I've been using the AI chat tools for the past few months, and it's incredible. I can build experiences better, faster, and I can focus more on how I want the experience to feel rather than how I'm building it. So why should you use chat tools? The biggest reason is that you want AI to be able to use the entire power of Lens Studio. Anything you can do, the chat tools can do too. They allow you to develop complex lenses in the background while you work on something else. Or you can speed up your development flow and avoid repetitive work, or pair program with an AI and get a second pair of eyes. Finally, maybe you'd just like to know how to use Lens Studio better. Lens Studio AI has a deep understanding of Lens Studio. But what is a chat tool? They're bite-sized commands that the AI can learn about and change your projects. They allow the AI to interact with Lens Studio just like a developer would. For example, they can read the scene hierarchy and figure out what to modify. They can download something from the asset library and then install it. Or they could rename a scene object. Individually, each of the chat tools is small and simple, but the AI can chain them together to create complex results. And now, how can you use them? Well, there's two ways. You can use them directly from Lens Studio in the Lens Studio AI panel. Just select developer mode. Or you can use them from your favorite AI coding tool. We've been hearing from all of you about how you want to use Lens Studio via MCP, and now you can. And I'll show you how to set that up in just a few moments. I'm going to go for a few demos with you now to show you some of the ways I like to use Lens Studio AI and MCP to enhance my workflow. First up is my favorite use case, debugging. This is the new Spectacles sync kit I was working on recently. It looks great, but the button isn't working. I've typed in what I'm seeing to my AI agent. I'm going to let it work on the problem for me. Firstly, you can see me demonstrating the problem. The button is responding to my presses, but it's not disappearing and launching multiplayer mode. On the right, you can see the AI is gathering information about the problem. It's reading code files, making MCP calls to examine assets and the scene hierarchy, and it's querying its knowledge about Lens Studio to figure out what the problems might be. And what I really love about this is you can see that it's chaining these calls together. So at the first, it's getting like a broad idea of what's in the scene hierarchy, but then it's diving into specific scene objects and getting more detailed information about what might be going wrong. And awesome, now we have a list of problems. And the AI is working on fixing them one at a time. And you can see that list coming up there. There's a few different problems. There's some missing input components. I've set up the button events wrong. And if you follow my cursor, you can see that it's making tool calls to add those inputs into the start menu script. And that's something you couldn't have done without MCP. Like, we can make changes to code files without it, but we can't change what's happening in Lens Studio. And in the background, you can also see it's hooked up those button events that I missed, which is showing how it really understands how things work in Lens Studio. We have to set up events, and now it's working. I pressed the multiplayer button, the menu disappeared. Next, I'm going to show you how I can use Lens Studio AI directly in Lens Studio to work on my lens. I've opened up the Spectacles speaker template, and right away I can see an issue. There's a debug draw bounding box around some of the buttons on the previous and the next button. But I'm not familiar with the project. This is my first time seeing it, and I have no idea where to start. I've described the problem in my prompt, so now let's let Lens Studio AI work on it for me. You can see it's able to examine the scene hierarchy in detail and find the buttons, and it's turning off those colliders. And now it's working, it's fixed. There's no colliders anymore. Or there are colliders, but they're not debug drawing. Now it's time to work on some features for this lens. And so it's a presentation lens. I think it would be way more comfortable if I was giving this presentation to a life-size teddy bear rather than a scary audience. So I've asked it to generate this teddy bear for me. And Lens Studio AI has access to all of these asset generation tools. The way they work is that you send a prompt and it generates that asset or model in this case. And you can see it just added an asset to that 3D generated folder in the asset browser. And now it's going to add it to my project. It's going to instantiate that. And there's the teddy bear. But this is an iterative process. Like, I don't just have to accept that that's where the teddy bear is now. It's a little bit close. So I'm going to ask it to move that teddy bear back. And we can keep working on this. So I'd probably rather have an audience of teddy bears so I can kind of look around the audience and talk to any one of those teddy bears. And you can see some new tools it's using we haven't seen yet. So for example, it's duplicating those scene objects rather than instantiating new ones. And so it has a bunch of capabilities built in. And I love that I can describe what I want in natural language. So rather than having them in a line, I want them to face towards me so I can really look them in the eyes. And you can see I've typed, just put them in a semicircle. It's doing the math for me. It's figuring out the angles those teddy bears should be at. And now they're facing in towards me, just like I wanted. Finally, I'm going to show you how you can hook up MCP to the coding agent of your choice. And I'm going to demonstrate the entire process of using it to create a mobile lens, sped up just a little. And so you'll see in Lens Studio now, there's a new item on the title bar that says AI Assistant. If you go there, you can start the MCP server. You can change the port if you want to have multiple MCP agents running in different instances of Lens Studio. And something I love is there's a really easy way of copying the configuration to the clipboard, which you can then take over to the coding agent of your choice. In this case, it's cursor. They're configured in a slightly different format, but it's pretty easy to figure out exactly what it should be. You can see cursor is even auto-correcting it for me. And now I have all these tools enabled. I have 39 tools enabled. You can see them. These are all new capabilities that cursor will be able to do things with in my project. And now this is that lens I was talking about. I had this idea for a full lens with colorful spheres floating around my face. I created a complex prompt with ChatGPT, and I just let the AI work on it for a while. you can see it's asking questions, it's creating components and scripts in my project. And then the end result is these spheres on my face. And it's not quite what I envisioned. I was imagining they'd be more kind of around my face rather than on it. So now I'm working kind of iteratively with the AI. I'm just kind of describing exactly how I want that jitteriness to feel, how I want that spacing to be. And what I love is that it's kind of collaborative. I just describe what I want, it's doing it. I don't have to look at the code, even though I can if I want to. And it's adding these sliders. Like, it really understands how Lens Studio AI input should work. So it's created these sliders. I can drag them around, and I have this really nice way of like modifying the feel of it. And this is more what I was looking for. Like, rather than those jittery spheres, I wanted them kind of to spin around my face. And at this point, I was going to go and add in the colors. But then I had an idea. What if instead of colors, I added leaves? And then that would mean kind of like a windstorm blowing leaves around my face. And in the previous demo, you saw how Lens Studio AI can generate assets. But we can do the same thing in MCP, and those are the leaves. And then I'm carrying on iterating a little bit more. Like, I'm swapping out, like changing the speed, swapping out some of these leaves. That leaf doesn't look great. So I swapped out some of these assets. And finally, this is the end result. I have this nice full lens. I have this windstorm blowing leaves around my face. And I did this all without having to like look at any code. I mean, it's open on the right. I can modify if I want to, but I don't have to. So we have a great suite of chat tools already, but we're going to keep building new tools and features. But what if you have ideas yourself about how you want to make the AI even more powerful? We've seen creators come up with great ideas already, like a tool that can generate new materials based on a prompt. And it's really easy to create and share new chat tools that the AI can use. Chat tools are just Lens Studio plugins, which you may already be familiar with. And we recorded a tutorial to get you started. Take a look. Now I'd like to welcome Jonathan to the stage to talk about AI-enabled custom components.
That was really amazing, Luke. It's so cool to see AI getting deep into Lens Studio and changing everything from the theme hierarchy, explaining what's happening, all the way to modifying properties and components. But what if you don't want to specify all the nitty-gritty details, or you just want to say something simple like, make a lens for fall for my birthday? This is blocks, and blocks are just AI-enabled custom components. So like Olha mentioned, this is something that you already know. We're just adding a little bit more to it, making it AI-enabled. As you might know, you can make a complete lens project just from a single prompt. And you may have heard the term Easy Lens before, and now it's integrated into Lens Studio AI. So far, the system was limited to a set of components built by us. But we're opening the system up so you can extend it for your specific needs. This is really important because this can allow you to make your specific type of lenses by adding your specific components and hopefully speed up your workflow. But we also want to make sure this is an opportunity for you to interact with a larger audience. As you know, creating lenses with a prompt is available to everyone in Lens Studio Mobile and Web, which gives many more people the opportunity to create lenses. So when you create your own extension, you can choose to get even more visibility for your work by distributing on these platforms and tapping into this wider audience. Here's how it works. Prompt to Lens is built on a collection of components, as Bobby mentioned. We call these AI-enabled custom components, and each provides a layer for a final lens composition. A component can provide a simple feature, like stickers, or a complex one, like quizzes. They can be suitable for a specific concept, like barfing mouse rainbow, or a generic one, like a background image. To get a better understanding of what it can do, let's see how Lens Studio AI uses these components. So here's an example. When a user writes the prompt, create a lens for my 25th birthday, the system will find the appropriate components and will add them into the final composition of the lens. And this is where it's interesting, by the way, since it can now combine global components with your local lens. You can make your own lens extra unique in Lens Studio. In this case, it decided to add a background image, a confetti, and text on the screen to celebrate the birthday. By the way, the composition is not set in stone either. Like Luke was showing, you can also add prompts to add or remove specific components, like add a color filter or remove the text. After choosing the component and setting the composition, we can ask Lens Studio AI to automatically populate the components with generative content. So for example, for background image, you can see that there are different background images depending on what you ask for the component to do. Because each component can be customized by the system to do a specific lens. And it's all done transparently by the system for you, so you don't have to work hard to create new content. In other words, making this AI-enabled custom components, you can easily iterate and create variations of your lens. So for example, for various events or holidays, or for that special someone. As a component developer, the input that you put in the component defines what it can do. So for example, you can have 2D image and stickers, 3D objects, text, or generically any component parameters, just like JSON. So let's dive a little deeper into the structure of AI-enabled custom component. An AI-enabled custom component is just a regular custom component written in JavaScript or TypeScript with addition of a markdown file that provides information about your component in natural language. The script defines the behavior of the component, its visual, auditory, or interactions, or other parts of the lens, defines its input to be populated by the AI with generated content in Lens build time, so while in Lens Studio, while you're building. And you can also define functions that can be called by the main controller during the lens at runtime, so the users can interact with the lens in real time. And finally, it can define events that can be triggered by other components or by the controller that the AI has generated for you. The markdown file just explains this in natural language. So for example, the description, what feature the component provides. This helps the system know that it should use this block or what this block can be used for. Inputs, what are the inputs to be populated? So for example, the type, I want a 3D object and I want it to be cartoony, its style, and so much more. The markdown file is then attached to the custom component, and this is what makes it AI enabled. And once you do that, you can just right-click on that custom component as you do today and register to library. Once it's in the library, you can just ask Lens Studio AI to use that component and start generating content with it. And as mentioned earlier, you can collaborate with your team or with others as much as you choose. So if you just register to library, it's just in your Lens Studio, or you can share it with your team by giving them a folder of these custom components, or you can publish it to the asset library so the world can see what you're working on, and optionally get the widest possible visibility by sharing it in Lens Studio Mobile and Web. And by the way, if you have more questions, we got some developers here, Nick and Phil in the back, who have started playing around with it, and you can ask them some questions. You can click on this QR code, and we have some creators like Mohammed that's already been playing with it as well, so you can learn from them as well, or find me afterward. And that was still a lot, but Olha is here to summarize.
Thank you so much, Luke and Jonathan, and thank you all for listening. And let me just quickly wrap up why this is important. So AI is the future, and we believe that AI has to be built with you. And Lens Studio AI helps you speed up your workflow, experiment with special AI, and overall it's just really cool. As you've seen today, Lens Studio AI combines multiple agentic capabilities. On one side, we have chat tools, which you can think is just plugins with like extra information about inputs and what about the action, and they let you create those actions that AI can trigger, and you can get built-in ones we've added out of the box, and you can also create your own. And also on the other side are AI-enabled custom components that make your common setups reusable, remixable, shareable, and so on. You can use the AI-enabled custom components already available in EasyLens, the one we've put on the asset library, and you can create your own. And just to emphasize again, everything we create is made with scripts. You can unpack everything, you can inspect everything. All our plugins are using editor scripting. And I was super excited, like a couple months back, that we almost did not have to add any new functionality to Lens Studio. We were able to build these actions, to build the MCP just with the power of the plugin system. Most of these capabilities are still in beta, and we would really want you to experiment with those, like change to developer mode, check out creator mode, turn on and off certain actions, certain tools, see how they work together. Maybe some of them are not useful and just interrupting your flow. Create your own ones, or contact us to put in requests. So we put some examples on asset library. We're going to be sharing more on GitHub, and share your creation with community and with us. Thank you so much.